What if I told you that there's a single nut, one that most men walk right past at the grocery store without giving it a second thought, that contains a combination of nutrients so powerful for your prostate that urologists and researchers have been quietly studying it for years? If you're a man over 60 and you've been dealing with the constant urge to run to the bathroom, the frustrating weak stream, the interrupted sleep from waking up 2 or 3 times every night, or the dull, aching pressure in your lower abdomen, then you need to hear what I'm about to share, because this one nut could change everything about how you feel down there and give you back the freedom and comfort you've been missing for far too long. My name is Dr. Rebecca Parker. I've worked as a physician for over 20 years, and today I focus specifically on senior health. And I want to tell you something that most men are never told at their doctor's appointments. Prostate inflammation, which doctors call prostatitis, or more commonly benign prostatic hyperplasia, is not just an inevitable part of getting older that you simply have to accept and manage with medications that come with a whole list of side effects. The truth is that what you eat every single day has a profound and measurable impact on the size of your prostate, the level of inflammation in your prostate tissue, and the quality of your urinary function. And this one specific nut that I'm going to share with you today is one of the most scientifically supported natural tools available to men for protecting and supporting prostate health. Now, I know you're not alone if you've been struggling with prostate issues, because the statistics are staggering. More than half of all American men over 60 have some degree of benign prostatic hyperplasia, which is the medical term for an enlarged prostate, and by age 80, that number climbs to over 80% of all men. Thousands of men across America are waking up every night unable to sleep properly because of prostate problems. They're planning their outings around bathroom locations. They're embarrassed to travel or go to sporting events or sit in church because they can't trust their bladder. And many of them are either taking medications that cause dizziness or fatigue or sexual dysfunction, or they're facing the prospect of surgery. But here's what I'm promising you today. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which nut has the power to reduce prostate inflammation and improve your urinary symptoms naturally, and why the science behind it is so compelling. Let me explain what's actually happening in your prostate right now and why this matters so urgently for your quality of life. Your prostate is a small walnut-sized gland that sits just below your bladder and wraps around your urethra, which is the tube that carries urine out of your body. And this positioning is exactly what makes prostate problems so disruptive to daily life. As men age, the prostate tends to grow larger due to hormonal changes, particularly related to a hormone called dihydrotestosterone, or DHT, which is formed when the enzyme 5-alpha reductase converts testosterone to a more potent form. When DHT levels are high and when chronic inflammation is present in the prostate tissue, the gland enlarges progressively and begins to squeeze the urethra, which creates all those frustrating urinary symptoms that affect so many men. At the same time, oxidative stress from free radicals damages prostate cells and promotes further inflammation in a vicious cycle that makes the problem worse over time. And here's something that many men don't realize. The chronic inflammation driving these prostate problems is the same type of inflammation that promotes the development of more serious prostate conditions, including prostate cancer, which affects 1 in 8 American men during their lifetime. So addressing prostate inflammation isn't just about improving your quality of life right now. It's also about protecting your long-term health and reducing your risk of more serious problems down the road. According to recent studies from major research institutions, chronic inflammation in the prostate is one of the primary drivers of both benign prostatic hyperplasia and prostate cancer, and dietary factors play a significant role in determining how much inflammation is present in your prostate tissue. This means that what you put in your mouth at every meal is either feeding the inflammation in your prostate or fighting it. And most men don't have any idea which category their diet falls into. If this resonates with you, if you've been struggling with prostate symptoms and you're looking for natural ways to get relief, hit that like button right now, because the information I'm about to share has helped countless men reclaim their comfort and their freedom. Let me also make sure you understand the full consequences of leaving prostate inflammation unaddressed, because the longer you wait, the worse it tends to get, and the harder it becomes to reverse. Chronic prostate inflammation doesn't just stay in the prostate. It affects your overall health in ways that extend far beyond urinary symptoms. The same inflammatory pathways that are active in your prostate are also active throughout your body, contributing to cardiovascular disease, metabolic dysfunction, and even cognitive decline. Men with chronic prostate inflammation tend to have higher levels of inflammatory markers in their blood, higher rates of heart disease, and greater risks of developing diabetes and other chronic conditions. Beyond the physical effects, prostate problems take a serious toll on quality of life and mental well-being. Men who can't sleep through the night because of frequent urination become exhausted and irritable. They lose interest in activities they used to love. They withdraw from social situations because of embarrassment, and many experience depression and anxiety as a direct result of how prostate problems affect their daily lives. I've had patients tell me that prostate issues made them feel old before their time and robbed them of their confidence and their joy in life. But it doesn't have to be that way, and that's exactly why this information is so important. The single most important nut for reducing prostate inflammation and supporting prostate health is Brazil nuts. And what makes Brazil nuts so extraordinary and so uniquely powerful for your prostate is their almost unbelievable concentration of a mineral called selenium. Now, you might have heard of selenium before, but I want to explain why it's so specifically important for your prostate. Because when you understand the mechanism, you're going to understand why this one nut stands completely apart from every other food when it comes to prostate protection. Your prostate actually contains the highest concentration of selenium of any organ in your body under normal, healthy conditions. And this is not a coincidence, because selenium is absolutely essential for prostate function and protection. Selenium is a critical component of special antioxidant enzymes called glutathione peroxidases and thioredoxin reductases, which are your prostate's primary defense system against the oxidative damage that drives inflammation and cell abnormality. When selenium levels are adequate, these enzymes work efficiently to neutralize the free radicals and reactive oxygen species that would otherwise damage prostate cells and trigger inflammatory cascades. When selenium levels are low or deficient, these protective enzymes can't do their job, and your prostate is left vulnerable to the chronic inflammation and cellular damage that drives enlargement and disease progression. Research indicates that men with the highest selenium levels in their blood and prostate tissue have significantly lower rates of prostate inflammation, significantly lower rates of benign prostatic hyperplasia symptoms, and dramatically lower rates of prostate cancer compared to men with low selenium levels. One landmark study from the National Cancer Institute found that selenium supplementation reduced the risk of prostate cancer by an astonishing 63% in men who started with low selenium levels, and subsequent research has confirmed that selenium's protective effects on the prostate are among the most well-documented in nutritional medicine. And the very best natural food source of selenium available anywhere in the world is Brazil nuts, because just one single Brazil nut contains anywhere from 68 to 90 micrograms of selenium, which is more than the entire daily recommended amount for an adult. But selenium is not the only reason Brazil nuts are so powerfully protective for your prostate. These remarkable nuts also contain ellagic acid, which is a powerful polyphenol antioxidant that has been shown in laboratory studies to inhibit the growth of prostate cancer cells and reduce inflammation in prostate tissue. They contain zinc, which is another mineral that's highly concentrated in the healthy prostate, and which is essential for regulating the 5-alpha reductase enzyme that converts testosterone to the problematic DHT that drives prostate enlargement. When zinc levels are adequate, 5-alpha reductase activity is kept in check, which helps prevent the excessive DHT production that makes the prostate grow. They contain healthy, unsaturated fats that reduce systemic inflammation and support hormone balance. And they provide magnesium, which is important for muscle relaxation, including the smooth muscles of the urinary tract that affect urinary flow and control. And from a medical perspective, the combination of selenium, zinc, and ellagic acid working together in Brazil nuts creates a synergistic anti-inflammatory and prostate protective effect that you simply cannot replicate by taking individual supplements of any one of these nutrients alone. The whole food provides these nutrients in a form and ratio that your body recognizes and uses optimally, and the fat content of the nuts actually enhances the absorption of fat-soluble compounds, including the selenium and zinc. This is exactly why I always say that real food beats supplements when we're talking about protecting specific organs and tissues from inflammation and disease. Now, let me give you a simple protocol for using Brazil nuts to reduce prostate inflammation and improve your urinary symptoms. The recommended amount is just 2 to 3 Brazil nuts per day, and I want you to pay very close attention to this, because more is absolutely not better when it comes to Brazil nuts due to their extremely high selenium content. Selenium is one of the few nutrients where the therapeutic range and the toxic range are relatively close together, meaning that if you eat 10 or 15 or 20 Brazil nuts every day, you can actually develop selenium toxicity, which causes symptoms like hair loss, nail brittleness, fatigue, and neurological problems. 2 to 3 nuts per day gives you approximately 150 to 250 micrograms of selenium, which is right in the optimal therapeutic range for prostate protection without any risk of overconsumption. You can find Brazil nuts at virtually any grocery store across America, from Walmart to your local supermarket, usually in the nut aisle or the bulk food section. And they're typically quite affordable, especially when you consider that you only need 2 or 3 per day. Look for raw or dry roasted Brazil nuts without added salt or oils when possible, and store them in the refrigerator or freezer, because the high fat content means they can go rancid more quickly than other nuts at room temperature. The best time to eat your daily Brazil nuts is with a meal that contains some other healthy fat to maximize absorption of the fat-soluble nutrients. And consistency is key, because the prostate protective benefits build up gradually over time as selenium levels in your prostate tissue increase to optimal levels. Here's a simple daily routine you can start tonight. Eat 2 to 3 Brazil nuts with your breakfast or lunch, alongside some other nutritious foods that support prostate health, like a handful of walnuts or a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds, which are also rich in zinc and have their own prostate protective properties. You might also add a cup of green tea to your morning routine, since green tea contains catechins that have been shown to complement the anti-inflammatory effects of selenium in prostate tissue, and green tea is available at any pharmacy like Walgreens or CVS or your local grocery store. Over the course of several weeks of consistent daily Brazil nut consumption, many men notice meaningful improvements in their urinary symptoms, including stronger stream, less urgency, fewer nighttime trips to the bathroom, and reduced pelvic discomfort. I remember a patient, a 69-year-old man named Frank, from a small town in Michigan, who came to see me absolutely exhausted and frustrated after years of dealing with progressively worsening prostate symptoms. Frank was getting up 4 or 5 times every night to urinate, which meant he was chronically sleep-deprived. He'd stopped going fishing with his friends because he didn't want to be far from a bathroom, and he'd turned down invitations to his grandchildren's school events and sports games because he was too embarrassed about his urgency issues. His urologist had prescribed alpha blocker medications, but they made him dizzy when he stood up, and they affected his sexual function in ways that really bothered him. When Frank came to see me, I told him about Brazil nuts and the research on selenium and prostate health, and I asked him to commit to eating 2 to 3 Brazil nuts every single morning for 3 months, along with some other dietary changes we discussed. About 6 weeks into this protocol, Frank called my office, and I could hear the excitement in his voice. He told me he was down to getting up just once per night to urinate instead of 4 or 5 times. His stream was noticeably stronger, and he'd been able to go on a full-day fishing trip with his buddies for the first time in 2 years, without worrying about being far from facilities. 3 months in, he was sleeping through the night most nights, and his follow-up prostate health markers had improved significantly. He said it was one of the most life-changing health interventions he'd ever made, and he couldn't believe something as simple as 2 or 3 nuts a day could make such a difference. Now let me talk about the second powerful strategy for reducing prostate inflammation that works in perfect synergy with your daily Brazil nuts. And this leads us to the undeniable importance of pumpkin seeds, which are one of the oldest and most time-honored natural remedies for prostate health used across many cultures and now backed by a growing body of scientific research. Pumpkin seeds have been used by Native Americans, Europeans, and traditional healers around the world for centuries to support urinary health and prostate function, and modern science has begun to explain exactly why they work so well. Pumpkin seeds are extraordinarily rich in zinc, providing about 2 to 3 milligrams per ounce, which is a significant contribution toward the 11 milligrams per day that men need. And as we discussed earlier, zinc is critical for regulating the enzymes that control testosterone conversion and for maintaining the healthy zinc concentrations in the prostate that are essential for proper function. But what makes pumpkin seeds uniquely effective for prostate health beyond just their zinc content is their high concentration of phytosterols, particularly beta-sitosterol, which are plant-derived compounds that are structurally similar to cholesterol and that compete with DHT for binding to androgen receptors in prostate tissue. When beta-sitosterol from pumpkin seeds occupies these androgen receptors, it prevents DHT from binding and triggering the cellular growth signals that cause the prostate to enlarge, essentially blocking one of the primary mechanisms of benign prostatic hyperplasia at the molecular level. Science has already shown in multiple clinical trials that beta-sitosterol supplementation significantly improves urinary flow rate and reduces urinary symptom scores in men with benign prostatic hyperplasia. And getting this compound from whole pumpkin seeds provides additional benefits from the zinc and magnesium and healthy fats and antioxidants that come along with it. Pumpkin seeds are also a good source of a specific fatty acid called delta-7 sterine, which has been shown in studies to inhibit 5-alpha reductase enzyme activity, much like the prescription medications finasteride and dutasteride, but through a gentler natural mechanism without the same risk of sexual side effects. They contain carotenoids including beta-carotene and lutein that reduce oxidative stress in prostate tissue, and they provide a meaningful amount of protein and fiber that support overall metabolic health and weight management, which is important because excess body fat increases estrogen levels and inflammatory markers that worsen prostate problems. Let me give you a simple protocol for incorporating pumpkin seeds into your daily routine for maximum prostate benefit. Aim to eat about 1 ounce or roughly 2 tablespoons of raw or lightly roasted pumpkin seeds every day. And you can find these at any grocery store or health food store across America, either in the snack aisle, the bulk food section, or sometimes near the nuts and dried fruits. Look for hulled pumpkin seeds, which are the green inner seeds, also called pepitas, rather than the white hulled variety, as the hulled seeds have higher concentrations of the beneficial compounds. You can eat your daily pumpkin seeds as a standalone snack. Sprinkle them over your oatmeal in the morning alongside your Brazil nuts for a powerful prostate-protecting breakfast. Mix them into a salad with leafy greens and other vegetables. Add them to a homemade trail mix with some walnuts and dried cranberries, or blend them into a smoothie. The key, as always, is consistency and making these foods a non-negotiable part of your daily routine rather than something you do occasionally when you remember. Many of my patients find it helpful to keep a small container of pumpkin seeds on their kitchen counter or dining table as a visual reminder to eat them every day. If this video has been meaningful to you so far and you're learning things about prostate health that you didn't know before, hit that like button and also write in the comments, have you ever tried Brazil nuts or pumpkin seeds for your prostate health? I'd love to hear about your experience, because your story could inspire and encourage another man who's struggling with the same issues right now. Now let's move on to the third powerful strategy that completes this natural prostate protection protocol. And this one involves a specific type of oil that has remarkable anti-inflammatory properties for prostate tissue, and that most men are not getting nearly enough of in their diets. I'm talking about the omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish like wild-caught salmon, sardines, and mackerel. And here's why they're such a critical third pillar of this prostate health protocol. Omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA and docosahexaenoic acid, are potent anti-inflammatory compounds that work by modulating the same inflammatory pathways that drive prostate enlargement and disease progression. When you eat adequate amounts of omega-3 fatty acids, your body produces anti-inflammatory compounds called resolvins and protectins that actively suppress the inflammatory signals in your prostate tissue and throughout your body. At the same time, omega-3s suppress the production of pro-inflammatory compounds called prostaglandins and leukotrienes that are actually elevated in the prostate tissue of men with benign prostatic hyperplasia and prostate cancer. Research indicates that men who eat fatty fish at least twice a week have significantly lower rates of aggressive prostate cancer compared to men who rarely eat fish, And population studies consistently show that men in countries where fish consumption is high, like Japan and Iceland, have much lower rates of prostate disease compared to American men who eat relatively little fish. The typical American diet is severely deficient in omega-3 fatty acids while being extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids from vegetable oils and processed foods. And this imbalance creates a pro-inflammatory state throughout the body, including in the prostate, that contributes directly to the epidemic of prostate problems we see in American men today. But here's what makes omega-3s so synergistic with the Brazil nuts and pumpkin seeds we've already discussed. Selenium and omega-3 fatty acids work together to enhance the antioxidant capacity of your prostate cells through complementary mechanisms. The selenium activates your prostate's antioxidant enzyme systems, while the omega-3 fatty acids reduce the upstream production of inflammatory compounds that generate the oxidative stress those enzymes need to neutralize. So together they create a much more complete and powerful anti-inflammatory defense than either one provides alone. And the zinc from pumpkin seeds regulates the hormonal environment, while the omega-3s control the inflammatory environment, targeting the two primary drivers of prostate enlargement simultaneously. Let me give you a simple protocol for optimizing your omega-3 intake for prostate health. Aim to eat wild-caught fatty fish at least 2 to 3 times per week. And the best choices for maximum omega-3 content are wild-caught Alaskan salmon, which you can find fresh or frozen at most grocery stores, canned sardines in olive oil or water, which are affordable, convenient, and incredibly nutrient-dense, mackerel, which is often available canned or fresh, and wild-caught tuna, though be mindful of mercury content and limit tuna to once per week or so. A serving of about 3 to 4 ounces of fatty fish provides roughly 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA, which is an excellent daily contribution toward prostate protection. You can prepare your fish in many delicious ways that fit naturally into traditional American cooking. Bake salmon with lemon and herbs, and serve it alongside roasted vegetables and a sweet potato for a complete anti-inflammatory meal. Make sardine salad on whole wheat crackers for a quick and nutritious lunch. Grill fresh salmon on your backyard grill during the summer months when you're entertaining family, or simply open a can of sardines and eat them with some whole grain bread and mustard for an incredibly simple and affordable protein and omega-3 boost. If you truly cannot eat fish due to allergies or strong taste preferences, high-quality fish oil supplements providing at least 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA are available at any pharmacy like CVS or Walgreens and can provide similar anti-inflammatory benefits for your prostate.